tonight on ELN Local News.
Farms around campus are drying up.
I think we've had 2/10 of an inch of rain in 5 weeks. In 5 weeks.
Tonight, we'll tell you how the latest weather is putting them behind schedule.
And honoring through art. We'll tell you why these blue sheets are hanging up by the railroad tracks.
And taking a deep breath.
I ended up finding my best friends through it.
The ELN Yoga Club is perfecting their downward dogs. We talked to some ELN freshmen that are finding balance.
Those stories and more.
ELN Local News starts right now.
Live from the Jane and Brian Williams studio at ELN University School of Communications, you're watching ELN Local News.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Brian Ray.
And I'm Maeve Ashbrook. Tonight we begin with the National Weather Service classifying Alamance County in a moderate drought. A moderate drought can lead to water shortages, high fire risk, and some damage to crops.
Liam Collins joins us live in studio to tell us how the record hot weather over the past few months could have some long-lasting effects.
Brian, Maeve, good evening. This drought comes after the second last year, which was the second wettest on record in the Piedmont. Take a look at this. Most farms in Alamance County in this beige part, the northeastern part of the county, are feeling the effects of this drought. I spoke with local farmers who say recent weather conditions are shriveling up their profit. Running a farm,
It's been brutally hot.
works in layers.
I think we've had 2/10 of an inch of rain in 5 weeks. In 5 weeks.
For Vaughn Willoughby, breaking ground on this layer has been tough.
This land is so dry right now. We don't have a machine heavy enough that's going to cut this land up and get it prepared. So all that's going to do is delay. The longer it waits, the more it affects the other end.
According to the National Weather Service, Alamance County has gotten less than 4 inches of rain in the past 2 months. That's 4 inches less than normal. For owner Edgar Pritchett, that deficit in rain means a deficit in profit as well.
The soybean itself is small, and it'll take a whole lot more beans of this size to make a bushel than it would in a normal year.
Pritchett says areas like these are called microclimates, where some plants are getting much more water than others. But he says either way, the plants are producing much smaller beans, cutting his profits in half.
The beans should be at least another foot taller. The dry weather slowed down the growth of it. When you get down close to the ground, it's really hard to harvest these beans.
And the more beans you miss, the more you have to plow, a process Willoughby says isn't always possible.
Instead of going over this land once or twice to get it ready, you may go over it 4 or 5 or 6 times. More times you run over this land trying to get it ready, you're drying it out even more.
The National Weather Service is forecasting that the drought will continue with no rain in the forecast for the next week. Brian and Maeve, back to you.
Liam, thank you. ELN University Campus Safety and Police released this year's security report, which details the types and number of crimes that took place on and off campus last school year. From 2016 until now, the report found that liquor law arrests have increased by over 160%. Drug law arrests have also increased by over 200%. But drug law violations have gone down. In 2017, we saw 114 violations, and while in 2018, there were only 96. There has been an increase in liquor law violations that were referred for disciplinary action. Last year, there were more than 32 violations than the previous year. And while most numbers have gone up since the last report, Public Information Officer Sergeant Joel Thomas says the ELN Police Department does its best to support all students.
You know, mom and dad's not always here. I'm not trying to be a mom or dad, but sometimes it helps just for another person to sit down and take the time to explain, like, hey, you may be headed down the wrong path, or, you know, just be careful and be a little more responsible if you're going to go out and do this and do that.
In-depth look into the report's findings. Pick up a copy of The Pendulum this Wednesday.
Tonight, a new update with the mumps outbreak on campus. According to Vice President for Student Life, John Dooley, 3 new cases are confirmed, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 6. Dooley recommends students with symptoms make an appointment with the health center. For more of the latest information on the mumps outbreak, visit our website, elonnewsnetwork.com.
It's October, but it's not too early to start thinking about flu season. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recommend getting your flu shot as early as October for your best chances of fighting the flu. Students can get a flu vaccine tomorrow in Alumni Gym from 1 to 5 p.m. at the first of 4 clinics that will run through the month on campus. The cost of the shots can be filed through your insurance card, but if you don't have one, it will cost $24.
You may have seen the blue and white sheets hanging by the railroad tracks across the street from McGurk's. Well, these sheets are part of an art project dedicated to Professor L.M. Wood, who died last March. The community art project is one Professor Wood helped get off the ground. Associate Professor of Art Ann Simpkins worked with L.M. Wood and says the project serves as a reminder of her work at Elon.
It was a real shock to our department and a real loss because she brought her special energy to teaching. Was something that took us all so much by surprise and not at all expected, and she's missed all the time.
The project is a collaboration with the Elon University Art Department and the Maker Hub.
The Burlington mayoral primary is right around the corner. Ian Baltudis, Lisa Patrick, and Joey Cook are all on the ballot. Baltudis is the incumbent and is running for his 3rd term. He's also a business owner and a 2008 Elon graduate. The only female running is Lisa Patrick. The self-described housewife is originally from Boston, but has lived in Burlington for the past 22 years. And Joey Cook is the only candidate born and raised in Alamance County. He is a self-employed house flipper and has a degree in business administration from what is now Alamance Community College. We spoke to each of the candidates and asked them what inspired them to enter the race for mayor.
Folks getting involved with the city, to volunteer, to give feedback on boards and commissions, to come to city council meetings.
The Bible did, yes. Reading the Bible, praying for the children. Dr. Charles Stanley prayed for his kids, and his kids didn't get into too much trouble, I heard.
I want to get the Lord back into the city council.
Primary voting starts tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. When the polls close at 7:30 p.m., there will only be 2 candidates left in the race who will face off in the general election on November 5th. For more information on the election, visit our website, elonnewsnetwork.com.
Now to hear about this Alamance tradition.
While the calendar says fall, weather suggests otherwise.
You're watching Elon Local News.
Colored flags line the sidewalks in downtown Burlington for the 5th time in Alamance County's history to celebrate LGBTQ History Month. Alamance Pride was emceed by 2008 Elon grad Stormy Day and featured live music and a drag queen story time. Elon's Gender and LGBTQIA Center was also at the festival, helping to celebrate diversity and promote acceptance for all Elon students.
And that's what we always say at the GLC, and that's what Alamance Pride means, is that who you are is enough, and we celebrate who you are.
The GLC is hosting an Elon Pride this Friday at 4 p.m. on Iconic Plaza outside Lakeside Dining Hall. For a deeper look into Alamance Pride, make sure to pick up a copy of The Pendulum this Wednesday.
And speaking of The Pendulum, our chief designer Grace Terry is live in the newsroom for a preview of this week's edition. Grace?
Thanks, Maeve and Brian. This week's edition of The Pendulum features a special section on sustainability, which includes a local grape farm as well as an Elon student who buys and sells clothes from thrift stores and upcycles them. The regular edition features a spread on Alamance Pride, which features a section called Faces of Pride. Faces of Pride shows portraits of people who attended the event. You can pick up your copy of The Pendulum on Wednesday. Thank you. Back to you.
Thanks, Grace. The Alamance County Crop Hunger Walk has been raising money to help end hunger for 5 decades with their annual 5K. I talked to participants who walked, ran, and even stayed behind to support their friends with one common goal. It was a chilly morning, but not chilly enough to stop over 150 walkers, all raising money to end hunger in Alamance County.
Because it exists badly.
Anthony DeGraffenreid is one of those walkers, and he's been participating for several years. He says he was never personally affected by hunger, but has seen it firsthand.
A co-worker of mine was out of work a long time, and she had to go get canned goods and stuff like that and hunger because her insurance was weak.
Chairman and coordinator of the walk, Phil Young, walked in the first crop walk in 1969. He says his purpose is to gather community support to help fund the hungry.
As I go around in the community and outside the community and see people starving, seeing homeless, and see people in need at the same time, seeing everybody else that is able to afford a bunch of stuff.
And for third-year runners William Spencer and his son, progress is not measured in the amount of money they raise, but the amount of effort they exert.
We could be still in bed watching cartoons on a Saturday morning, but we're getting out, and this kind of backs up our donations to give to the cause.
Right down the road from campus, nearly 100 walkers at the Twin Lakes community were walking at the same time. To read more on this story, check out our website, elonnewsnetwork.com.
Well, Maeve, unfortunately, I think the summer heat is finally starting to fizzle out.
That might be unfortunate for you, but I was very excited. I went and did a fall photo shoot this weekend.
Yes, I saw.
I'm excited to see these chilly temperatures. Our Margaret Foss is live outside right now to give us our Phoenix 5-day forecast. Margaret?
I am out here on Citron Plaza where it is a warm 79 degrees, warmer than you would expect for a day in October. As we look ahead to our Phoenix 5-day forecast, you can see that warm weather is here to stay. Tomorrow will be cloudy with a 30% chance of early morning showers, a high of 71 and a low of 58. As we move on into our week, Wednesday will be partly cloudy with a high of 75 and a low of 54. Thursday will be remarkably similar, also partly cloudy skies with a high of 76 and a low of 54. As we approach the weekend, the sun will come out. Friday, you can expect sunny skies with a high of 78 and a low of 53. And weather will be perfect on Saturday for our home game in Rhodes Stadium, where it will be partly cloudy with a high of 80 and a low of 54. That is all for our Phoenix 5-day forecast. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Margaret. And if you're walking around outside, it's common to hear the train pass through, but you may not hear it screech to a stop. But one organization is asking why there isn't a train station. The Philosophy Honor Society Phi Sigma Tau is hosting a forum on Wednesday, inviting students to discuss how a train station would affect campus. ELN's train station was removed in 1961, but the organization wants to bring it back, saying it's a more sustainable option for students than driving. The forum will be held at 6 p.m. in Spence Pavilion, and all students are invited to attend.
And stick with us. We are breaking down something productive you can do over fall break. We'll show you why you might need to get a new ID if you have plans to get on an airplane.
And women's soccer is undefeated at home while football falls into a 3-game losing streak. Caitlin Rundle will have your Phoenix Sports after the break. Today is National Child Health Day, and some organizations on campus are raising awareness. Sorority Phi Mu is hosting a fundraising event on Wednesday supporting Children's Miracle Network, which is their philanthropy. Philanthropy Chair Lizzie Kilby was a patient at Children's Miracle Hospital herself and says she feels lucky to get to work closely with the kids and families in the hospital.
We're able to raise funds, but then we're able to go visit the hospital too and see the kids and meet the families, which I really love.
Phi Mu's event is on Wednesday at 7 p.m. on Lakeside Plaza.
A looming deadline is going to affect the way you travel next year. Our Jack Norcross explained what you need to know about the Real ID.
Over 3/4 of ELN students come from outside of North Carolina, and for many of them, flying is their main way of getting home for breaks. But just under a year from now, on October 1st, 2020, a standard driver's license won't even get you through TSA at the airport. Instead, you'll need a Real ID. The Real ID is a security-enhanced identification card that came out of a 9/11 commission and became an act passed by Congress in 2005. The process to get a Real ID in each state is slightly different. In most states, you'll need to go to the DMV office and provide documentation showing full legal name, date of birth, social security number, 2 proofs of address, and lawful status. If you're wondering if you already have a Real ID, look for the star in the top right-hand corner of your license. If you don't plan on getting a Real ID license, a passport is also an acceptable form of identification. If you are unprepared, you're not alone. A recent survey from the U.S. Travel Association found more than half of Americans were unaware of the October 1st, 2020 deadline. And nearly 40% of Americans say they do not have any identification that is Real ID compliant. If you're planning on heading home for fall break, consider taking a trip to the DMV to get your Real ID before it's too late. Jack Norcross, Elon Local News.
Well, it's already October and fall sport teams are nearing halfway through their seasons.
Our Caitlin Rundle is here to break down the latest updates with Phoenix Sports. Caitlin, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. We're going to kick it off with women's soccer tonight, who's undefeated with 5 wins at home this year. They've more than doubled their total from last year when they finished with only 2 wins at home. The most significant change between last season and this season is the team's ability to perform at Redfield.
Kind of treat this like our fortress. Obviously, we have pride in playing in front of our home crowd on our home field.
Their streak will be tested at their home field on Sunday, October 20th, when they host the James Madison Dukes. The Phoenix have not beaten the Dukes since joining the Colonial Athletic Association. After the loss to University of New Hampshire, the Phoenix football team finds itself in a 3-game losing streak. This is the team's first 3-game losing streak since last year. The worst losing streak the Phoenix faced was when the team lost 9 games in a row back in 2014. And softball stepped up to the plate for the first time this year, but outside of their regular season. Our Sam Goldberg has more.
With the first cold front coming in and the leaves changing color, the first thing on people's minds probably isn't a bat, a ball, and a softball diamond. The Elon softball team, however, is taking the lower temperatures and lower stakes to their advantage.
Again, the fall is just all about getting prepared for the spring.
The Phoenix took on North Carolina State University Wolfpack this Saturday in their second fall game of the year. The final score was not in favor of the Phoenix, with them losing to the Wolfpack 9-2. Head coach Kathy Bocock said that fall ball is the time to make mistakes.
In our regular season, we can't make those type of mistakes. But we also, in the fall, we coach a little different. We do a little bit of different in coaching it.
With 6 freshmen, fall is the perfect time for them to get used to playing at the college level.
So the game doesn't change, just the difference in the speed and the level. And so the newbies coming in, you know, they have to really learn to adjust to how fast the game is, and that's something that we're thankful for the fall.
The fall ball season continues October 12th when they play the East Carolina Pirates in a doubleheader, and will be working up to play in a series of exhibition games in Japan. Sam Goldberg, Elon Local News.
Bocock enters her 9th season as head coach and comes off a historic season last year when they played in the CAA championship game for the very first time. We are looking at a little bit of a slower week here in sports. Volleyball is set to play James Madison University on Thursday, and then looking forward, we have volleyball and football playing University of Delaware on Saturday.
Great, thanks Caitlin.
Thank you.
And breathe in and breathe out. I'll show you how some Elon freshmen are getting involved in one club on campus.
Campus safety and police have permits and restrictions for everything from cars to bicycles, but one thing not on the list is golf carts. Our Grace Morris talked to one student about their unique way to get around campus.
A joke?
He was like, hey man, we should get a golf cart.
Soon turned reality.
Like, oh, we're actually doing this.
That's what sophomore BJ Horton found when he returned to campus to learn his roommate had bought a golf cart.
It's still in the works, but we're thinking about T-Mobile. Since my name is Tellier, it's like a mode of transportation.
Sophomore Tellier Lundquist, and owner of the golf cart, already had a car on campus when he decided to go all in on the golf cart.
Probably actually use the golf cart more than I would my car, just because I don't go very far distances.
Well, to drive a car, you need to pass a test and get a license. According to North Carolina law, as long as you have one of these and are at least 16, you can drive a golf cart.
Lundquist works for Elon Athletics and got the golf cart originally to drive athletes around campus. But since his golf cart has no headlights or brake lights, he's limited to driving during the daytime. But despite some of the restrictions, Lundquist encourages other students to get their own golf carts.
Yeah, I think a lot more people should get golf carts. I think it's really nice. Plus, I think if campus, if the university knows that more people have it, they'll make more accommodations for golf carts.
But whether a business venture or a way to get around campus, Lundquist is just enjoying the ride. Grace Morris, Elon Local News.
Well, Maeve, what's a better break than studying from yoga, doing yoga outside. Members of the Elon Yoga Club are bringing out their mats every week. Our Amanda Gibson went to one of those meetings under the Oaks and is here in studio. Amanda?
Well, Elon's Well Connected initiative is wrapping up after 6 weeks, and it's encouraging freshmen to track their involvement through their first weeks on campus. Those who reach the 3 categories of involvement are invited to a banquet with President Book later this month. One of these events that counts towards the Well Connected program was Yoga Club's Solstitium. Take a look.
The Yoga Club members are unrolling their mats,
Take a deep breath in, get long,
and are mastering their down dogs during the 4th annual yoga festival, Solstitium. For club president Gigi Woodall, Yoga Club has been her home on campus for the past 4 years.
Yoga Club is so special to me because I ended up finding my best friends through it, so it's really become a community to me, and I want to share that with everyone.
And for others like Peter DeSantis, he's just getting the swing of things. Friday was his first time doing yoga. He was surrounded by friends he met during orientation.
All the kids in my classes are really cool. Like, we have a group chat, we're still texting it, which I didn't expect. And it's like every Elon 101 class is just like a fun, we just talk and it's chill.
Through the Well Connected initiative, first-year students are encouraged to attend events like these. For Jillian Ingalls, yoga has helped her anxiety.
Whenever I get super stressed out, or whenever I'm doing a lot at once, I always try to tell myself to continue to focus on my breathing.
Club advisor and Elon alum Samantha Murray says she's happy to see mental health initiatives like this on Elon's campus, something that wasn't available to her as a student 4 years ago.
I think it's any opportunity to practice self-care at a younger age, I guess, is just really important to get students involved in knowing themselves better and being able to take that time for themselves, whether that's yoga or meditation or something else.
Their meetings are every Monday, and everyone is welcome to come by. Amanda Gibson, Elon Local News.
And that's all the news we have for you tonight. Thanks for joining us.
For these stories and more, check out our website, elonnewsnetwork.com, and make sure to follow us on social media at Elon News Network.
Elon Local News will be back tomorrow for the online exclusive and Thursday for ELN Morning.
Thanks for joining us tonight, Elon. Have a great night.